Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Top Hat Wrestling Man here, ready to remind you all of perhaps one of the most ridiculous and quite frankly unnecessary characters in all of pro wrestling's history. One of which you could make a strong case for being detrimental to the product, rather than adding anything particularly positive. Today we are going to be looking at the history of a character that the writers created to give one of the company's most promising young stars an extra dimension to their act. But did this so-called comic relief angle do more harm than good? Let's find out. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the mad story of Shelton Benjamin's Momma. Yeah! After being called up to the main WWE roster in the final throes of 2002, Shelton Benjamin would enjoy moderate success with tag team partner Charlie Haas, being booked as part of Kurt Angle's Team Angle, with the Olympic gold medalist serving as their in-story mentor. The man who graduated from the University of Minnesota on a wrestling scholarship program would win multiple tag team championships with his partner Haas, eventually even breaking away from Kurt to continue to team with Haas as the arrogantly named World's Greatest Tag Team, where the pairing would continue to find success. In 2004, the team was separated when Benjamin was drafted to Raw. However, what few would foresee would be how quickly he would blossom as a single star. He had the strongest start any mid-noughties wrestler could have possibly asked for, defeating Triple H on 3 separate occasions and even feuding with Evolution. Throughout this period, the company's confidence in the young Benjamin was highlighted further, with detailed vignettes regularly airing promoting his overall presence on the show. Later that year, this confidence was embedded further when he captured the Intercontinental Championship from Chris Jericho at Taboo Tuesday 2004. This was a bout in which the fans voted on who Chris Jericho's challenger was going to be, proving that it was not just the company who was behind the man, the WWE fanbase were too. Shelton would hold the belt for 244 days, which was an incredible amount of time considering that the belt was passed around like a hot potato in this era of wrestling, with the last person holding the belt for this long being The Rock back in 1997, further illustrating the illustrious position Benjamin had found himself in on paper. There was certainly a point that it looked like he could become a top star. To be fair, while this reign was incredibly long for the time frame it took place in, the booking of the Intercontinental Championship itself was not exactly strong, with Shelton Benjamin perhaps creating his most memorable moment during this run with some cool high spots in the first ever Money in the Bank match, rather than defending his title in many hugely memorable title bouts. While there is no doubt how great this man's athletic prowess was, he was neither huge and muscular enough nor charismatic enough for WWE to feel the need to push him further up the card. In fact, shortly after his championship reign, Benjamin was booked to go on a long losing streak. Despite no longer picking up wins, fans still had interest in Benjamin, and bearing in mind how much natural ability the man had when it came to his athletic and technical game, management felt it was time to try something new, to try and add some extra layers to this amazing athlete's character. So how did they try and achieve this? Well, by giving him an overweight, overbearing mother, of course, to constantly chastise him every time he fouls. When it comes to this ludicrousness, Shelton Benjamin's Momma wouldn't exactly set the world on fire or help elevate Shelton to the next level. The character was literally a walking caricature, which to be fair is expected from professional wrestling, but was so far removed from Shelton's current act that neither character seemed to ever really gel. To put it simply, the character was basically a rip-off of Mammy Two Shoes from Tom and Jerry, which funnily enough, the woman who portrayed the Momma, Via Vidal, actually did some voiceover work for in reproductions of Tom and Jerry episodes. And as if her dress and handbag wasn't stereotypical enough, she also wore padding to make her appear fatter. Via Vidal previously had actually had a long and successful career as a stand-up comedian prior, but this nonsense was so absurd, even she could never really make it that funny or interesting. To go through with you the history of this lunacy, joining me today I have British independent professional wrestler Oliver Peace, who is going to break down Thea's short wrestling career further. Yeah!
Thank you, Big Daddy Top Hat. After losing the Intercontinental Championship to Carlito and going on that aforementioned losing streak, on January 2nd, 2006, Shelton Benjamin's Mother would debut, She appeared, yelling at him for losing. "We're Benjamins! We don't take ass whoopings, we give 'em!" she yelled, while also asking Benjamin if she needed to use the belt. So who exactly was Shelton Benjamin's mama? Well, as discussed, the role was played by stand-up comedian Thea Vidal, and it was designed to reinvigorate Shelton Benjamin and give him a new trait of being a mama's boy. The next appearance from Shelton Benjamin's mama would be on January 8th, 2006 at New Year's Revolutions. Benjamin's mama would meet the world's largest love machine, Viscera, another ridiculous character who used to hump his opponents. It may be worth doing a deep dive on him someday. Anyhow, the love machine would lay the moves on Mama Benjamin backstage, causing her to flip out. Later in the night, Shelton Benjamin would defeat him with the assistance of Mama Benjamin whacking Viscera in the head with her purse. The
so-called hilarity would continue the next night on Raw, when Momma Benjamin would claim to recognise Val Venus, thinking she had seen him in a movie. This would lead to Val Venus listing off many of the adult films he had starred in, such as Shaving Ryan's Privates, Glad He Ate Her, and even Harry Twatter. This would lead to Momma Benjamin once again becoming irate. Momma Benjamin was not happy with what he insinuated, so would later assist her son Shelton in a match against this dastardly sinner, with Shelton once again picking up the win with the aid of his mum. I have to admit that writing all of this out on paper, the concept at least behind these skits is genuinely a bit funny. The next week we saw a skit with Vincent Kennedy McMahon featuring a stagehand telling him that a lady was here to see him. The self-proclaimed genetic jackhammer expected that it was Candice Michelle. Vince psyched himself up and turned his back while dropping his pants, and started coming on to Candice by complimenting and doing her dance. But as he opened his eyes, he was instead greeted by Momma Benjamin, who was quite taken aback, yet smitten with Vince's brash and abrasive advance. Not to be sidetracked too much, Momma Benjamin informed Mr. McMahon about the fact that Shelton didn't have a match that night. An angry yet flustered Vince said he would find Shelton some suitable competition, and the segment would ultimately end with Big Momma Benjamin telling Mr. McMahon that if he ever wanted some chocolate thunder, to give her a call. While once again it was clear this character was being used as comic relief, this segment itself strikes me as odd, based on the fact that she physically assaulted Viscera when he started acting sexual, and got highly annoyed at Val for merely suggesting she had watched one of his porn movies. Yet here she is wanting to make love to Vince McMahon. I guess as a standalone skit it is mildly amusing, but considering the previous two, continuity for the character seems pretty absent. Who wrote this stuff? Rian Johnson? After subverting the audience's expectations, Mr. McMahon would punish her for her sexual preferences by booking her son in a match against a man who was over twice his weight, the £500 Big Show, an opponent who Benjamin would manage to defeat by countout, effectively continuing his winning streak in the new Momma Benjamin era.
At the 2006 Royal Rumble, a backstage skit started where Vince seemingly felt a pinch on his bum. "Ooh, Candace, I do believe you just goosed me," Vince beamed with delight. As the real bum-pinching culprit was revealed, McMahon's demeanour and expression changed to one of horror and shock. "Hey, Daddy," said Momma Benjamin. "Last time I saw you, your pants were right down by your ankles," she continued, giddy with delight. "Shelton Benjamin!" roared Mr. McMahon. "Yes, sir," Shelton said obediently and scared. "You'd better straighten your mother out," McMahon ordered. "Yes, sir. I'm trying, sir." The segment went on with Shelton Benjamin picking his Royal Rumble number and then saying he'd make Mr. McMahon's night by throwing Shawn Michaels out of the Rumble. Then Melina entered the picture and wished Shelton best of luck and seemed to be making a pass at him while doing so, but Momma Benjamin quickly put a halt to it and dragged Shelton out the room. Shelton Benjamin would enter the Rumble at 28 and be eliminated by Shawn Michaels. Momma Benjamin would give Shelton her thorough dressing down for this on the next Raw, and threatened to use the belt again. She'd then complain that Shelton was wearing her out and she needed a back rub for it. Goldust would be the one to give her a massage, and upon realizing it was Goldust and not Shelton doing the shoulder rubbing, she was quite freaked out. I can see the joke they were trying to go for here, but as Goldust went on about how he loved to give golden showers, the segment was more uncomfortable. I just can't laugh at this. It would set up a match between Goldust and Shelton Benjamin, which Benjamin would win.
Weirdly past this point for the Momma Benjamin character, They moved away from doing sexualised jokey skits and instead focus seemed to shift towards her health. On the February 6th episode of Raw, Shelton went one-on-one with the Big Show again. This time Momma Benjamin put her hands on Big Show outside the ring, leading to the Big Show yelling at her, causing her to collapse. After Big Show defeats Shelton, the paramedics attend to his mother. On the next edition of Raw, Shelton defeats Eugene in just a minute and a half after some other unfunny shenanigans, referencing a scene in Forrest Gump where Eugene tries to give Momma Benjamin a box of chocolates. By this point, Momma Benjamin was now in a wheelchair and using an oxygen tank to help with her breathing. A very dark twist to add to a character who seemed to be there for comic relief. On February 20th, Shelton Benjamin challenged Ric Flair to try and regain his Intercontinental Championship. Momma Benjamin is still having some breathing difficulties, and mid-match through this bout with Flair, the referee is distracted, calling for paramedics for Momma Benjamin, who is in trouble. It is in these moments that Shelton savagely grabs her oxygen tank from her wheelchair and bloody uses it to whack Ric Flair in the gut, leading to Benjamin hitting an exploder suplex and winning back the IC title. Wrestling can be truly ridiculous.
A few weeks later, a rematch took place where Ric Flair gained the upper hand and was eventually victorious. Thinking that he'd won the match via submission, Ric learned that he'd in fact won via DQ as the ref had been poked in the eye earlier, meaning that Shelton retained the belt. This led to Ric Flair snapping and laying out Shelton Benjamin with the oxygen tank. Strangely after this, that was it for the Momma Benjamin character. The following week it was explained that Momma Benjamin had returned home for heart surgery and we never heard from her or saw from her again. Well, perhaps for the best. I must admit I laughed out loud at the Val Venus segment, and the Vince McMahon segments were funny also, but after that the laughs were intended to be at the expense of Momma Benjamin and her health problems. Poor health, mobility and life-threatening heart and breathing issues isn't really a great source for humour. Is this why the character was axed so soon after her debut? Well, surprisingly not.
In an interview, according to Thea Vidal's side of the story, she states that the reason she left the company was nothing to do with the show's storyline, but in fact due to a sexual harassment incident backstage where someone stood in front of her with their trousers pulled down and their penis and testicles hanging over the top of their underwear. Is this truly a case of life imitating art? Well, I'll be honest, it's not for me to comment either way. But I would be more than curious here to see what you think in the comment section down below. Past this crazy WWE angle, life for both Vidal and Shelton Benjamin would continue. While Benjamin would never elevate much past Intercontinental Championship status, he is fit and healthy enough to currently be wrestling in WWE, even though we are now 16 years removed from the Momma Benjamin story, and Shelton is now 45 years old. Main eventing WrestleMania isn't needed to have a successful wrestling career after all. 1 year after leaving the WWE, Vidal would compete on the reality television show Last Comic Standing, making it to the second round. In 2009, Vidal would also be part of the Hot Tamales Live, presented by Kiki Melendez, which was filmed for Showtime. Moving into 2012, her career in television continued, appearing on Stand Up in Stilettos, and past that point would show up on the 3rd and 7th episode of the first season of the stand-up series Stand Up Revolution. Away from stand-up comedy, she also appeared on The Howard Stern Show, where she announced she had decided to have gastric bypass surgery because she had developed complications resulting from type 2 diabetes. In this interview, she stated, "I have 4 children. This is not about vanity. I want it to be like a rebirth, a new me, a healthier me." Now, considering she seems to still be alive today, this can't have turned out too badly. So, what can we learn from all of this in a wrestling capacity? I guess not much else really, other than giving a super athlete a comic relief overweight mother with health issues who beats him with a belt is probably not the best way in order to elevate his career. However, knowing the wrestling business the way I do, who knows if that was ever the intention in the first place? Let me know what you think. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the mad story of Shelton Benjamin's Momma. I hope you enjoyed today's content and that you found this absurd subject matter interesting. I am keen on this channel to present more deep dives into the career of wrestling characters who only appeared on our screens for a short time. So make sure you let us know which other obtuse individuals you would love to see spotlighted on here next. If you are new here, make sure you like this video and subscribe to this fledgling channel to receive regular wrestling content. I will post a link to Oliver Peace's channel in the description where you can watch some of his wrestling content, and you can find my other work on my channel Top Hat Gaming Man, where I regularly do deep dives into gaming's amazing history. I've even covered quite a few wrestling games over there. Anyway, cheerio.